Jekyll, Jekyll, hide, Jekyll. You know what that's from? Hey there, welcome back to True North Reviews. My name is Ryan, and today we are discussing the Duke Dumont record, Duality. This is the debut album from the UK DJ who has been putting out a number of EPs since 2007. For context, Duke's style is rooted in house and electronica. Personally, I'm unfamiliar with house unless we're talking Hugh Laurie and deadmau5, musically just deadmau5. In all seriousness, I'm afraid I wouldn't know who Duke Dumont was if it weren't for my roommate discovering him for me a few years back with his song Ocean Drive, which is easily one of the greatest singles of the past decade. Such a slick and futuristic club banger. Now, if you notice, Ocean Drive has slid its way onto this album 5 years after its initial release, and it might still be the strongest song on this LP. With me saying that doesn't necessarily mean that this record flopped. There are a great number of tracks to complement Ocean Drive, especially on the second half of the runtime of the album. The song Together is a simple yet creative display of house conventions, slowly building dynamics, adding layers, really emphasizing the slight and subtle nuances to each synthesizer and beat. Then you have the vocals that are like a cross of Abel Tesfaye and Josh Ramsey. Of course, mix in the signature Daft Punk kind of robotic vocals, and you've got a great track. Another fantastic cut on this record is Love Song. It is a near 6-minute delight that again removes and assembles, this time from the ground up. And then midway through Love Song, the track erects itself around a hypnotic section of strings and crashing waves of synthesizers. You would almost think the delirious shouts of I love you as the backdrop would become distracting or irritating, but despite being repeated many times, it remains fresh since the instrumentation is constantly refining and shifting itself. Keeping the transitions compelling isn't much of an issue for this record when it comes to the track Overture, which is a piano interlude, very dramatic as this segue to the album's final leg, to which we get the final track on this album, Let Me Go. It cascades towards this drum line and a screechy synthesizer that reminds me of a song like The Shade by Metric. Even the opening moments on this record are a sight to behold with Therapy, plenty of powerhouse vocals provided by Charlene Hector. Then we have The Power, which utilizes what I like to call the smoke machine effect, basically what Martin Garrix uses on plenty of his songs, like that stereotypical mid-2010s club dance hit, what that kind of uses. Now, this record, as great as it begins and ends, it kind of loses me in the middle portion with a handful of weaker and dull tunes. The song Obey is very one-note and one-dimensional with its hook. The track Fear plays it safe with the conventions of house. We have that typical setup of strings, 4 on the floor, a danceable beat. A female vocalist as well, who actually gives me Dua Lipa vibes, just not as inviting or encouraging to dance to, sadly. And this is an interesting point because I will say I am a Dua Lipa stan for her most recent record. Take this with a grain of salt. But I will say that while Dua Lipa is reinvigorating and modernizing disco, Duke Dumont is treading familiar territory with a traditional house spin, and that goes without me mentioning the track Nightcrawler, which is easily the most forgettable and underwhelming moment on this project. So Duality altogether is much like a roller coaster ride. It starts off well, has a dip in quality towards the middle. That's actually the part where a lot of people get thrills, I guess, but for me, I usually want to throw up. But once the song Ocean Drive comes on, it's like we're flipping the switch and turning on the electricity, and I now realize that I've deviated from my roller coaster analogy. Hopefully you know what I'm trying to say. The bottom line, the more I listen to this album, the more I appreciate the attention given to the drum machines, bass lines, and syncopated auxiliary percussion. Now, Duality is very mechanical mechanical and by the numbers for the first half of its runtime before it settles down into the much stronger second half, but Duke's best attribute as an artist on here might just be his meticulous care and exploration on the longer compositions. The first half of this album feels like the radio-friendly side, and it honestly sounds like Duke is trying to recreate a hit like Ocean Drive with not much in terms of results. However, it's the more Duke experiments with song structure and dynamics that's when I'm on board with his ideas. The back half of this album is extraordinary. The front half is painfully mediocre. It is a night and day comparison. So with that being said, if I could recommend half an album, I guess this would be the one for me to do that. But for now, as an entire project, this is getting a 6 out of 10 from me. Emphasis on the back half being the part that is much more entertaining and worth your time. Okay, so that is Duke Dumont's Duality. Hopefully you guys might want to check out a song or two from that. As always, sound off down below in the comments. Let me know what you think of this music. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Agree or disagree, I'm here to engage with you guys. If you'd like to leave a like, subscribe if you're new in town, I'd appreciate that. And thanks for watching. Have a rockin' day.